Hello. This is Mr.MonsterConnoisseur with Special Education Part 2 by user 970_. Alright then, let's begin. April 1st, 2052. 17 months earlier. What the fuck is your problem, man? I grunted, turning to face Peter head on, and taking the view of his flabbergasted expression. Why the hell did you leave her like that? He blubbered. Swear to God, this guy just didn't take the fucking hint. He's almost as bad as them. Why the fuck should I just lie to her? I don't even like her, and I have no goddamn why she likes me, I retorted calmly, contrasting the fiery tone of Peter's vocal garbage. He was one of the two last unclaimed men to remain in this god-awful school, the other being obviously me. It was her fucking birthday yesterday and you ruined it, Peter spouted. Oh, boo fucking who. If your family were made up of a bunch of sniveling rich kids and billionaires and offered me my own fucking island, I still will not give a shit about her. I didn't lead her on. I told her about a month ago I wasn't interested, same with a half a dozen others that approached me that day. If it really ruined her birthday, that's on her. Peter wasn't having it. She was his sister, I guess. But he could at least not be such an ass-face about this. Maybe she's rubbing off on him. Peter groaned, signaling his tone shifting from anger to frustration. You just don't get it, don't you? Are you fucking kidding me? I guess I don't. It was my turn to lash out. I guess I don't fucking get it, Peter. I guess I don't decide or dictate my own personal value based on whoever wants to fuck me. I guess I don't really care about anyone who I barely even fucking know. I know this is probably causing your smooth, pebble-shaped fucking brain to implode, but maybe this is good for you. Maybe you should try listening for once, because you seem just as incapable of it as them. You asked what my problem was? That's my damn problem. Nobody ever fucking listens. September 23, 2053. Present. Hello? I uttered shakily, adrenaline coursing through me. Hey, she responded, seemingly out of breath. The following pause was probably a few seconds long, but it felt a hell of a lot longer than that. Are you? I trailed off, but I could tell she knew what I meant. She nodded accordingly. How? I asked, almost desperately. She sighed and looked away from me, and said, I have no fucking clue. Another pause followed, giving me some time to let the adrenaline wear out. How the hell was this real? Was she a doppelganger? No, that can't be. Doppelgangers are exceptionally rare, and can only mimic somebody else, and I have no idea why she would come to me if that were the case. Either she's been holding on to this form for an incredibly long time, and just happened to find me, or she wasn't a doppelganger at all. If the former were true, she'd probably be crawling on top of me by now. I pondered what to do next, and I figured I should probably get her name. What's your name? I asked her carefully. It's Riley. It's Riley. Sorry for the scare, she mentioned. I was trying. Knock, knock, knock. Fuck, we both said in unison. Are there others with you? I whispered, the adrenaline coming back. She shook her head. It's your scent. It must have tracked you here, she declared quickly. Any progress my body had made calming down now had been lost. As I already had a sneaking suspicion I knew who they were, I sprang up, forgetting my bedding and pillow in the room as we advanced through the halls toward the back of the house, where our makeshift entrance was. Damn good thing that's where I decided to do it. Otherwise it would have been obvious to anyone passing by on the roads that the structure had been broken into. The knocking continued, and we made sure they were totally unseen through the front door window. We heard distant voices, nothing of which could be understood, as we carefully and quietly stepped around the shards of broken glass, finally approaching the window. I jumped out, landing next to the bike, onto the wet grass. She followed not a moment too soon. Looks like I was right about the rain, seeing as how only one of us would have been able to use the bike, and how I definitely wasn't planning on using any of the roads or sidewalks with the feds apparently on my scented ass. I opted to run in the opposite direction, towards which I could barely make out some woods. The moon was bright enough and the sky was clear enough so we could see each other out in the darkness. I heard a vague shouting in the distance as an indicator to me that they were, or at least I, was booking it, causing me to pick up the pace as much as I could. Many questions flashed through my mind as I ran and my vision became a blur, appearing and disappearing at rapid and random intervals. I could only hope to be answered soon. I don't even remember when we stopped running. The two of us were fairly deep in the woods at the point, or at least I think we were. It's impossible to tell when it's this dark. Holy shit, I heard Riley barely manage to blurt. How the fuck did we manage to get away? I shook my head, trying to catch my breath and remember what I could for the past few minutes. If I had to guess, I would have said it was around 2 a.m., though the pine canopy blocking the moon certainly didn't help matters. I looked at Riley, and suddenly I was reminded of the fact that her existence broke my understanding of the world. Okay, I have some fucking questions, I told her directly. Ask away, I guess. Who are your parents? I asked, hoping this would give me some insight as to the genetics behind her existence. She looked at me with a fearful glance before managing to respond. I don't know. I was adopted. Some poor arachne took me in, hid me from the world. She died in 2050, and I've been on the run since. Why did she hide you? I asked, a little confused. For my own safety, I guess. She was a paranoid woman, so I thought I would be fine after she died. I'll never forget the first time I stepped into the room we were in. She did something between chuckling and sobbing and continued. They all just stared, as if I was something that shouldn't exist to them. I mean, I guess I'm not, so can't really blame them. She chuckled at that last sentiment. Damn, I guess we have some shit in common then. She looked at me, confused but hopeful, and said, Well then, what's your story? I just got tired of it, having to deal with them every single day. It was tiring 2.5 years ago when they first started to get real hot and bothered around me. Hell, even before that, it's not any better now. I don't understand why. I trailed off. I began to feel aware of myself sinking into my thoughts. My memories began to flicker around my mind, and the waves of consciousness that carried them seemed to shift towards a particular point in the timeline of the memories. And I knew exactly what that point was. No, I uttered. No, 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 no. I sunk deeper with each utterance that came out of my mouth, as I desperately swam against the waves, trying to beat back this tide in my mind that had been seemingly risen into nothing. My subconscious began to project voices into my head, voices calling for me, begging me to, Charlie! That managed to knock me out of it. Are you alright? I heard the voice of the only person I've heard the voice of the only person I've ever been able to put my full trust in for a long time, and I answered, I have no idea what the fuck that was, but I think I'm good now. Good. We should get going, she replied. I found myself confused once more. I asked where we were going. I know a place, she said, and began to trot away from me. Riley signaled for me to follow her, and figuring it was my only viable option at that point, I followed, my mind not having caught up with the fact that she knew my name despite me not telling her. We ended up going about 30 minutes before she decided she needed to sleep. Of course, that's when I remembered that my bedding was a mile away, but neither of us really cared. It's not like both of us would have been able to use it anyway. I decided to take the opportunity to catch up on a few hours of sleeping in a dry bush a few feet away from her, under a tall pine tree. The run had me exhausted, so I slept until the sun began to peek through the pines. And then we advanced further. Eventually, we emerged onto a cornfield, which led to a road, which led to a gas station. It was located just outside of a small town, one which I've actually visited a few times in my younger years. A lot of memories were made there, some of them not very good. We should probably head back to the woods. This road is dead during morning, but I know that a gas station isn't, I advised Riley, still unsure of where exactly she was taking me. Actually, I think we need to go in there, she replied, causing my feet to immediately stop dead in their tracks. Why? What could we possibly need from there? I questioned. I'm low on food, and I don't recall you bringing any, she responded bluntly, slowing and turning to face me. I thought you would have some at your hideout location, I stammered. Speaking of which, where the hell even is it? And why are you bringing me to it? Why are you asking? Clearly you don't have any better options than going with me. You and I both know I had no plan going into this, she said, gesturing me to follow her once more. I continued walking towards her, responding as well. I mean, is this a better option? Either a life of misery and mental solitude or my life of, well, I don't know. I guess it's better. I spoke, the confidence in my voice fading as I did so. Look, let's get this over with. The hideout is the other side of this town, she said with a resigned sigh. She took her hoodie and put her hood up and reached into her pocket and pulled out a bizarre-looking brace. I nearly raised my voice at this, but then the answer was revealed as put in her mouth across her top gum line. They were fangs. Generally speaking, vampires are the easiest to disguise as. Either get some fake ears or a hood, as well as some fake teeth, and you're set. Just to make sure they can't see your eyes that well. Fuck me, I guess we're doing this. I love this. May 6th, 2044, afternoon, 9 years ago. You know how much I had to argue with your mother to come out here with you? My dad chuckled, tapping the stake into the ground with his hammer. He let out a brief sigh. Having just finished raising and setting up the tent, he looked towards the cliff. I always loved coming back here, especially as a kid. Me and my brother, just the two of us. I always wondered what it would be like to have a brother. Probably wouldn't make too much of a difference for me, though. I remember the summer before they came. I began to have dreams about this weird-looking woman who was coming after me. That woman turned out to be your mother. He laughed, turning to face me. As he looked at me, his laughter died down and his face mirrored mine. I figured you could use a break from the family, he told me, with a face more solemn than he usually lets show. I continued staring at him, occasionally glancing away as to not accusate him further. What else was I supposed to do? I was hating being forced to interact. Still haven't made any friends? He questioned. I shook my head. What am I supposed to want those? He sighed again, this time not out of relief. I guess maybe we'll have to take you to a specialist, he said with a chuckle, more nervous this time, opening and climbing onto the tent. I just continued to look at the tent, wishing I was anywhere else in the moment. Specialists were essentially doctors for boys who many saw as in danger of becoming a deviant or a man who has trouble loving or being loved. 99.9% of the time, these men are turned out to the Alps, either due to being gay or trans or both, the latter issue being exclusive to humanity, it seems. But then, of course, there was that 0.1%, the broken ones they were affectionately called. I stood up, walking past the tent and towards the cliff. I was probably around 250 feet high, with a lake at the bottom. I sat, one of the few reprieved of social silence I was allowed. I watched as the lake crashed against the neighboring shores and felt the wind against my body, push me away from the edge. I contemplated being a coward for a moment and jumping, as most people do when they're next in perilous locations. But then I remembered the thought of there being others like me. My death would only serve as to thrust them into the limelight and make their situations worse. I stopped thinking about it after that. After a while, I looked back at the tent, and all I felt was anger. I hated it. I wanted to sleep outside, raining or not. Hell, even if it snowed. I don't care. Anything to get away from him. From them. I stared at him. The bug screen acting as a window to the tent. I saw him through a bug screen. I saw him look at his phone, just smiling, laughing. He was happy. He loves his family. He loves them. He's happy, just like everyone else. Why does he get to be happy? Why can't I be happy? Why can't it be like them? Why can't they just leave me alone? Why can't I stop being afraid of them? Alright, this was Mr.MonsterConnoisseur, and this is the end of Special Education Part 2. Later on, I think I'm going to record Part 3, and as you can see, I have breaks in my sentences while I'm talking and stuff like that. I just started this. This is my second time recording, really. So, well, I hope you liked it. And go to Reddit user 970 _ if you wish to read this, or yeah, I found it on the subreddit Monster Girl Cats. So yeah, all right. Thank you everyone for listening, and goodbye. This was Mr. Monster Connoisseur, also known as Reddit user Hot Dog Man Thing. Goodbye.